Alright, I don't have much time at all, so I'm going to skip the rest of the intro and just say like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. Have some news for you. News from the weekend. And yes, we are getting a new week started. Trying to get it started on the right track. The right train of thought here. Some news about Texas Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who was allegedly caught on tape. Although I believe it's an older tape, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, tape was released over the weekend of her berating a member of her staff. No surprise, I had read old articles in the past about her berating staff members, etc., etc. But yes, it has never been exposed so directly until now. Allegedly. So here's a headline from Slate News. Don't get it confused. Headline reads, Texas Congresswoman persecuted by right-wing media simply for being very good at swearing. What? Well, that's an interesting spin. Let's see if the article actually spells it out in the way that the headline does. Seems to be a bit of a Republicans pounce headline. And if it was the other way around, I don't think the headline would read Texas Congresswoman or Congressman prosecuted or persecuted by left-wing media simply for being very good at swearing. No, I don't think it would go the other way around. But I try to keep that same energy, and if she were a Republican, I would still feel some type of way about it. But in her case, I've never particularly cared for her. My take has been anyone with as aggressive of a head as she has is bound to be a bit aggressive behind the scenes. And if you've seen what she looks like, you'll know what I mean. No offense to her do, but it's quite a do. It is more of a do not, if you ask me. In fact, let me pull up a photo for you. Hold on a second. All right, here she is. Lo and behold, this is just a photo from a random article from The Hill. That's a photo of her. So she's smiling more than she usually is in this photo. She's usually stuck with a permanent stank face with a massive and potentially fake bun on top of her head. It looks like a giant cow pie. Not to disparage her looks, but just saying. Should switch it up every now and then. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and then smaller. And then bigger and bigger and bigger and then smaller. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's a real hairpiece or what. She always has a gigantic necklace on and earrings that match it. But hey, I don't have any issue with that. I have issues with that attitude. And I'm just saying, anyone with as aggressive of a head as hers is bound to be a bit aggressive behind the scenes, if you know what I mean. But yes, as for this random headline from The Hill, Representative Sheila Jackson Lee calls threat of attack on her and Chutkan chilling. I believe that's referring to Judge Chutkan, but this is not about that. Just thought I would read the headline and point out the irony. You know, when other people whom she opposes politically speak in a way that is, well, according to her, chilling, she sees it as just that. Especially in the case of Donald Trump, who she has been condemning the demeanor of for years and years and years. When it's Donald Trump, it's, he's always demeaning people. Then when it's her behind the scenes actually demeaning people, it's fine, right? It's fine. It's just an example of Republicans pouncing when they point it out, I suppose. For those who would not keep that same energy, but back to this original Slate article. Let's see what it actually spells out in the article. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee has regrets about the staff she's put together, which apparently includes Boo Boo, Bleep, and Bleep. Okay. I'm not even going to read that. And that's okay, because I'll play the clip for you. Language warning for you. I'm going to play that in just a couple of minutes. Play the actual recording of her. I'm going to censor myself, but I won't censor her. So you can hear it for yourself. But yes, This is totally normal quote of the day. I can skip past part of this. Let me just read at the beginning of this article here. Every so often, a story will come out about a Washington figure who is sunny and cheerful. Wait, what? She is not sunny and cheerful. Sunny and cheerful in public. She's not that in the first place. But allegedly rude and abusive to staff behind the scenes. Her own staff members, of course. In recent years, Democratic Washington Representative Pramila Jayapal and Democratic Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, who ran for president not too long ago, have been the subjects of such pieces. The one about Klobuchar included the vivid detail that she'd once asked a staff member to clean off a hair comb that she had just used to eat salad off of. She ate salad with the comb and then asked a staff member to clean off the comb. I don't know that that was ever really disputed. I remember the story circulating during her run for presidency, which didn't last very long. And also she was in the long list, not the short list, for potential vice presidential candidates. But of course, Kamala Harris got that because she checked more boxes. Anyways. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump, meanwhile, are both said to be prolific bad word users in private. Yeah, so there's that. None of these office holders, however, have been allegedly nailed as extensively as Democratic Texas Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, a longtime figure in Houston politics who is currently running for that city's mayorship. Is she now? On Saturday, the right-wing Texas site Current Revolt published a recording, purportedly of Jackson Lee, in which she berates a staff member and discusses another who's not present while referring to them by what Fox News describes creatively as profanity-based names, to say the least. The tape really needs to be heard to be fully appreciated, but here's a transcript, and yes, there's a transcript beneath it, or at least a partial transcript, but I'm going to skip past the rest of this article. There's not much else to it, and I'll go ahead and pull up the recording as displayed by Current Revolt, or Tony O, more specifically here on the Twitter. Let's find out how Twitter-pated Sheila Jackson Lee was. And I believe this clip is from quite a while back, this recording, that is, because she sounds younger in it. Not that she's all that old now, but she sounds younger in the clip. I don't know if a date is attached to it, but let's see here. You can listen to the full audio here. I'll do that, but let me see if there's anything worth reading in this caption. Leaked audio. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee berates staffer. Audio received today appears to be of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee berating her staff. Yeah. So let's get right to it. 1 minute, 35 seconds long. Apologies for the language. You didn't hear it from me. Although this is my channel, so you kind of did. Just warning you. A lot of profanity.
You took a piece of paper from that woman regarding something that was over at Duncan Tail. Where is it? What date was it?
Oh, from yes. Jerome took it upstairs. I have to call him. He took it up when I switched out the paper. I'll call him as soon as he gets here.
I don't want you to do a goddamn thing. I want you to have a fucking brain. I want you to have read it. I want you to say, Congresswoman, it was such and such date. That's what I want. That's the kind of staff that I want to have. So some stupid other motherfucker did it, and I don't have the information. Nobody sent me the information. I need to ensure my schedule. And, if Boo-Boo did it, shit-ass did it, fuckface did it, and nobody knows a goddamn thing in my office. Okay? Nothing. I gave it to you. Your job was to get it on the calendar, imprint it in your brain, or send me the information back saying, Congresswoman, I made sure that the Ovide Duncan Tell event that you gave me for so-and-so date at 7 is on the fucking calendar. Not to, Jerome has it. Okay? So when I called Jerome, he gonna be sitting up there like a fat-ass, stupid idiot talking about what the fuck he doesn't know. Okay? Both of y'all are a fucking F. It's the worst shit that I could have ever had put together. Two goddamn big-ass children. Fucking idiots. Serve no goddamn purpose. Ain't managing nobody. Nobody's respecting them. Nobody gives a shit about what you're doing. And you ain't doing shit. And this is an example of it. I gave it to Jerome. This is not child's work. Okay?
In what should have been a petty complaint, she becomes outright outraged at members of her staff, talking to one directly and also talking about another indirectly. She calls them many words, many names, which I will not repeat. Maybe I should play that again, just in case you miss any of it. But first, let me scroll down a little bit. Here's a headline. An old headline from March 28 of this year. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee announces campaign for Houston mayor at a local church. And about that, I have some thoughts. Because I relate to her religiously, somewhat. Although, not very much, it turns out. Plus, I'm not a Democrat. There are some fundamental differences between us, but hey, we'll get into that if I have time. Let me play a little bit of this one more time, partly because I had some buffering while I was recording, or while I was playing that recording. I'll start right here.
Upstairs, I have to call them. He took it up when I switched out the pictures. I'll call them as soon as you get here.
I don't want you to do a goddamn thing. I want you to have a fucking brain. I want you to have read it. I want you to say, Congresswoman, it was such and such date. That's what I want. That's the kind of staff that I want to have. So some stupid other motherfucker did it, and I don't have the information. Nobody sent me the information. I need to ensure my schedule. And, if boo-boo did it, shit-ass did it, fuckface did it, and nobody knows a goddamn thing in my office. Okay? Nothing. I gave it to you. Your job was to get it on the calendar, imprint it in your brain, or send me the information back saying, Congresswoman, I made sure that the Ovi Duncan-Tell event that you gave me for so-and-so date at 7 is on the fucking calendar. Not to, Jerome has it. Okay? So when I called Jerome, he's going to be sitting up there like a fat-ass, stupid idiot talking about what the fuck he doesn't know. Okay? Both of y'all are fuck up a fucking F. It's the worst shit that I could have ever had put together. Two goddamn big-ass children. Fucking idiots. Serve no goddamn purpose. Ain't managing nobody. Nobody's respecting them. Nobody gives a shit about what you're doing. And you ain't doing shit. And this is an example of it. I gave it to Jerome. This is not child's work. Okay?
This is not child's work, and yet you sound like a child. A very angry child at that. Yes, that is that. Sorry to put your ears through that twice. I was seeing if there was any processes I could exit out of here, in task style, because of the buffering, the lagging, which I'm experiencing on my end. I don't know about your end. But let's see here. Have this headline from National Review. Dem Congresswoman caught on tape berating staffer. Y'all are bleep-ups. Again, I'm censoring myself. Oh, look, her hair is smaller in this particular photo. Headline from Daily Mail. Hillary Clinton-backed Houston mayor candidate is caught berating staff in a vile, explicit tirade where she blasted them for being bleep-ups with no brains. Seems like a no-brainer that you should not say things like that to people, regardless of whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. The clip is said to show Sheila Jackson Lee's response to a staffer about a paper concerning Ovi Duncan-Tell. Duncan-Tell, who died aged 82 in 2018, was heavily involved in the city's politics. The woman in the clip is heard snapping at the staffer after he and another were unable to tell her when and where an event honoring him was to take place. So yes, this would have been a few years ago, if you lay out the timeline appropriately. I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to see if I can speed through some of this. From the Houston Chronicle, recording of alleged Sheila Jackson Lee profanity-laced rant at staffer hits social media. Bada boom, bada bing. Republican social media sites on Saturday circulated an unverified recording of what they said is U.S. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee unleashing a string of profanities at a staffer, calling him and another employee two GD, big A, children, and idiots. Jackson Lee, a frontrunner in Houston's open mayoral race, has long had a reputation as a demanding, sharp-talking boss. Sharp is not always a compliment. But any audio or video recorded evidence of her berating anyone has never surfaced, so the unverified recording immediately took off on social media, being reshared thousands of times on X, formerly known as Twitter. So yes, I should say that this is all prefaced with the word allegedly, but it seems to be her, and it has not been disputed. And also, it is no surprise to anyone since these stories have been making their rounds for several years. More than several years. She's been in politics for more years than that. Several years too many, if you ask me. Before the undated recording hit social media, it was emailed anonymously to the Houston Chronicle and other media Friday morning, shortly before the beginning of early voting Monday. The individual who shared it did not respond to repeated inquiries, sending the message under an apparent alias. Interesting how this stuff so often comes out during a campaign for a particular position, a political position. So it seems like a smear campaign in and of itself, right? I mean, better late than never, but if we could just have the truth in the first place, that would be great. But it could be someone who knew her, who wants to remain anonymous because, I don't know, could have even been a staffer of hers who recorded it without her knowing because it was very commonplace and they wanted to have some evidence, but maybe it broke some protocol, and for legal reasons, they held it to themselves until now, and now that she's running for a position which she doesn't really deserve to hold, if you ask me. They're like, hey, let's expose her for once and for all. I'm just being speculative. I don't really know what the motivation behind this expose was or is. Let me know in the comments below if you have something I don't have. The Chronicle since Friday had been asking Jackson Lee's campaign staff if the voice on the recording is Jackson Lee's. On Saturday night, the campaign issued a statement that didn't answer the question but tied the recordings release to Jackson Lee leading mayoral contest rival state Senator John Whitmire. Okay. So, the statement read, "This is a low-handed political tactic meant to discredit a thriving mayoral candidate and distract voters ahead of an early voting period," Jackson Lee's campaign said in its statement. It's unsurprising that these attacks have originated from extremely conservative blogs and political operatives backing John Whitmire. So there's no denial that those words were hers. They just try to shift the blame, play the blame game and say, oh, it's just part of that smear campaign on their end. Because I'm winning. Because I'm a winner. I'm such a great person that I'm winning, and they're just trying to smear me with my own words. It doesn't change the fact that you said those things and never apologized for them. And now that it's brought out publicly, you refuse to publicly apologize. Of course you do. Because you're too good for it. Which is why you have such an aggressive personality in the first place. The campaign for Whitmire, the other frontrunner in the race for mayor, rejected any connection to the release of the recording. We don't know any of the people who put this out on Twitter, said Sue Davis, Whitmire's spokesperson. We know nothing about it other than what everyone else does, and to try to accuse our camp of leaking it is just trying to take attention away from what is in the recording. True. So it could be true that it's part of a smear campaign. I mean, that's the reason why it was put out. Still, someone had to leak it to them before they could leak it out to the public. And I don't know what the original motivation would be. Clearly, someone has a bone to pick with her, and if it's someone who was directly involved in her berating, that would be understandable. I don't know if that's the case. I have no idea. In the 95-second audio clip, a woman is heard berating a man who sounds like a staffer who was meekly explaining that a different member of a congressional team had the information she demanded about an assigned task. Safe to say, he didn't last long working for her. Okay, I could go ahead and read this. Over the past 3 decades, critics have repeatedly attacked Jackson Lee, a Democrat, and her top aides for demanding workloads and high turnover rates. Congressional staffers have also routinely voted for Jackson Lee as the meanest employer on Capitol Hill and Washingtonian magazine's best and worst of Congress lists. I'm not surprised at all. Legistorm, an online portal that monitors congressional staff, places Jackson Lee at the top of the list of historical turnover So there's that turnover rate. Yeah, a lot of people didn't last long for her, apparently. Turnover among Texas House members and tenants nationwide. Her turnover rate also has notably increased in recent years, placing her fourth among all House members in 2021 and 2022. Jackson Lee previously told the Chronicle that some of her loyal staffers have stuck with her throughout the years and have come back to work for her after some time. And those who've left, she said, have gone on to pursue successful careers elsewhere. What I can say in this, that everybody that leaves the office gets greater and greater because they have come from Sheila Jackson's office, she said. I'll always be proud of my staff, and I wish them all well. Okay, so if she berates someone and then fires them, or they quit and they go on to accomplish bigger, better things, then she basically gets credit for that, or she's very proud of that. No, I don't know what exactly she's proud of. If they're so successful, why wouldn't she be proud to keep them around? But we hear reports like this about many politicians, including, say, Kamala Harris. Starting a couple of years ago, not long after she became the vice president of the United States, there were articles being published about how she wasn't all that pleasant to work for. Some of it is just hit pieces, really. Common tactic among politicians and anti-politicians. But yeah, there's a lot to it a lot of times. And if that audio is indeed of her, clearly there's something to it. Not very professional. From Newsweek, Democrat allegedly cursing out staff in leaked audio sparks backlash, as it should, as it would if it was anyone else, especially a Republican. And they need to get their acts together. Their act, I should say, not their acts, like their axes, like they have an axe to grind. Guess I don't really need to read this either. Newsweek could not independently verify the authenticity of the clip. Have to continue prefacing that, but from everything we know, and besides, her own campaign responded to it without denial. And in fact, they took issue with it and the smearing nature of it, almost as if to unintentionally verify that it was indeed her, and that it was only being exposed in order to hurt her campaign, which is how this works. So it's always amusing to me when politicians are running against each other, and the way to win is by making yourself look better than the other candidate. And then when you do that, the other candidate's like, oh, they're just trying to smear us to make them look better than us, to make themselves look better than us. Well, yeah, duh, and you would do the same if you had something. That's what attack ads are all about, and they all have them. They all put them out. So the woe is me mentality of her, or at least her campaign, doesn't even make any sense. Because she would do the same thing. We see it all the time. Okay, Yvette Carnell tweeted out, it's not just what Sheila Jackson Lee says in the audio, but that someone recorded her knowingly or knowing she was going to say it. She's been accused of mistreating her staff for decades. It was always a bad idea for her to be the face of reparations in Congress. I said so in 2019, says Yvette Carnell. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that name wrong. So yeah, that's an interesting point there. Someone recorded knowing that she was going to berate them, most likely, because she was notorious for doing such things. I imagine there are many more examples, if not recordings, of her saying similar things to people, calling them similar names. But you know, if Donald Trump were to call someone a name, including her, she would be the first to call that out. Okay, her team statement. Again, at the bottom of this article, I can skip that. From AG Hamilton 29 on Twitter. This Daily Mail article about how horrible she treats staffers is from 2011. Her turnover rates are consistently among the highest in Congress. Already covered some of that, so I don't need to get into this too much. Yashar Ali said, not one single person who works in Democratic politics is surprised by this. One of the most abusive members of Congress, also horrible to staffers who don't even work for her. Just ask anyone who has worked on campaigns that she has done surrogate work for. And Yashar Ali has retweeted this tweet, this post from Current Revolt Tony O, which I showed you earlier. Backtracking here, I could pull up this article from the Daily Caller. It's from 2011, like he said. Congressional bosses from hell, Sheila Jackson Lee. So nothing new, really, though it is newsworthy. A lot of politicians give nicknames to their aides. George W. Bush famously referred to his Attorney General Alberto Gonzales as Fredo. Okay. Remember when Chris Cuomo was referred to as Fredo, and he lost his ever-loving mind. Yeah, threatened to beat up a guy who called him that. That was kind of amusing. Yeah, this is nothing new in DC politics. So this article is somewhat lengthy. I had some other stuff pull up, but I have to go back to work like now. What I will say in regards to religion, she has connections to Seventh-day Adventist Church. Supposedly having a membership within the Seventh-day Adventist Church. You can see here, even as of last year, someone said, Sheila Jackson Lee, U.S. Representative Jackson Lee, was born to Jamaican parents in New York City. She is a lifelong Seventh-day Adventist and holds membership at an Adventist church in Houston, Texas. I had to mention this, and you can see that this is from a page called Old Westbury SDA Church, and there's an emblem at the bottom of this photo here. Sorry, my face is blocking some of it. So this was posted on Facebook last year. Already someone added in the comments just yesterday a link to the leaked audio. Poor Representative Jesus, she needs to repent for berating her staff with foul language, someone random says. Yeah, that link was attached there yesterday, or the comment. But yeah, I randomly mention this because I myself have been a lifelong Seventh-day Adventist, though I am not really attending a church currently in my neighborhood. But yes, my wife and I, my family, her family, Seventh-day Adventists, do not really feel represented by her. Not that I'm in Texas. Someone else who is Seventh-day Adventist, or has been in the past, unless that has changed, Ben Carson, on the other side of the political spectrum. So in case you didn't know, that's just a fun fact for you. I actually attended a speech of him a few years before he ever ran for president. I don't believe Sheila Jackson Lee ever ran for president. You know, she's more of a politician than Dr. Ben Carson. Of course, he was a doctor, a historic doctor, in fact. But yeah, Seventh-day Adventists in politics are few and far between. In fact, this article here has a little bit of information about that. When the new Congress convenes in January, and this is an article from 2012, actually, so this is old news, but it says, when the new Congress convenes in January, the number of Seventh-day Adventists among the elected legislators will be just one. For the first time since the early 1990s, Representative Roscoe Bartlett failed to regain re-election from rural western Maryland, leaving only Representative Sheila Jackson Lee from inner-city Houston. Bartlett is 86 and a Republican. Lee is 62. So she's like 73 now. Actually, she's pretty old then. Older than I thought she was. But yes, at the time she was 62 and a Democrat. The two are so different politically at the opposite ends of the political spectrum that they have refused invitations to appear together at Washington Adventist University. So, I wonder what her church will have to say to her now, if she even attends. I mean, I can't say too much on that because I myself have not really been attending lately, but you know, there are hypocrites everywhere. So some fun facts about her, some fun facts about me. I have some other articles, religiously speaking, pulled up, which I intended to share, but I don't have any time. I have to go back to work. Oh, wait a second. Hold on a second. In this week's news roundup, Adventist Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee temporarily steps down from key posts amid ex-aide's retribution claim and sexual assault case. Yada, 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 so on and so forth. This caught my eye just because there's a reference in this old news article from 2019 from Spectrum magazine about Tillamook, Oregon SDA Church. And that caught my eye because I was born in Tillamook, Oregon. Yeah. I won't read the rest of that because I would like to look into that further before I actually have anything to say about it. But yeah, I got to go back to work. I'm already running late. But my apologies for the tiny text here. I could have enlarged the text a bit, but still my big face, though less aggressive than hers, would be in the way. I hope you're having a great day. Keep in touch, keep in tune. New content is coming soon. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Feel free to disagree with me on anything I said. Peace. It didn't stop recording. Try this again.